Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and today I'm doing a discussion over War Chest, which War Chest is a tactical skirmish game where you utilize different units and different chips to control various points on the map. And you might be wondering, if you follow my channel for any extended period of time, that I already did a discussion over War Chest, and basically my feelings on the game were relatively lukewarm at best, and not great at worst. But there was something about the game that I remember saying in the discussion that I wanted to like this game, which is very rare for me because it's like, normally you should just like a game. Like, you shouldn't have to want to like something, but it's like, it's either you like something or you don't like something. But with board games, there's a lot of factors that can go into why you might not like something. Could be the person you're playing with, could be how you learn the rules, could be that you misinterpreted, strategy, or whatever it might be. And with War Chest, for me, there were some elements that I still think aren't my favorite in the game. But on replaying War Chest, I, now knowing that that's in the game, have come kind of full circle. And I think that this game is really, really good. I do enjoy this a lot more than I did the past, by the past discussion. Because these designers, Trevor Benjamin and David Thompson, are really good designers. So it's like, there's no way that, because I know there are other games, it's like there's no way that they just weirdly missed out on this one but made those other ones awesome. So what were those things that were in the in the original, like the discussion that I had talked about? Well, every unit in War Chest comes with a certain number of chips. So like the Scout, for example, has 5 chips. And basically, you need chips to be able to do anything with your unit. You want to put them out on the board, you gotta draw the chip. Now, everyone has a bag of their chips. Everyone has 4 units, and you start out with 2 units of each type and your coin, your sigil, basically. And basically, it's random on who you're drawing and who you're getting to activate, but basically, to do anything with them, you need to have the chip in your hand. Face up, you discard it to move them. You discard it to attack with them. You discard to use their tactic. You can place them out on the board. You discard it to control sections, which is how you win the game. But the crux of that is that every time your unit gets attacked, it gets removed from the game. So ultimately, you would think, oh, I have 5 scouts, meaning that they can survive 5 times. Well, that's not true. You should really, in my opinion, unless someone can, again, let me know in the comments if I'm missing something, because there's still a strategy that I'm not quite sure on in the game. But if a troop has 5 units, you should really consider them as having 4. Always consider whatever number it is as 1 less, because if, let's say I have a scout out on the board and the other 4 scouts are killed, well, that scout doesn't do anything anymore. Because you have to have a coin of the type to be able to activate them. And that, to me, would be fine if there was another alternate method for you to use in the game. Because so now that just sits there. That's a unit that's just there, and if it's not on a control spot, or it's not in the, if it's just somewhere random on the board and it died, well, it's very annoying that while you have 5 units, you can have one out on the map. Hell, it even gets even worse if you choose to bolster. Bolstering is whenever you have a unit on the map and you basically stack another one, so it's a 2 stack, which basically means it takes 2 attacks to get them off the board. That just means you have less actions to do. But I will say that's not really a negative. It was a negative the first time, but I actually kind of like this because you are actively making a decision on, I'm going to get less activations with this unit, and I'm trading for more defense or more health. Some units really benefit from this more than others, I think. Like the knights, for example. The knights can only be attacked by units that are bolstered. So if you bolster like your own knights, then that's causing your opponent to get rid of more actions to bolster their own so they can take down the knights. But even if they're doing that, then that means that you still have knights as a higher strength. You're not going to get to activate them as much, but you can use them for defense. And this is what really opened my eyes about War Chest, because I will say the opening recommended game, it doesn't do you a whole lot of favors, in my opinion. So, like, with player A, they have the swordsman, pikeman, crossbowman, and light cavalry. And then player B has the archer, cavalry, lancer, and scout. Now, all those units are good. They all have their own uses and strategies depending on who they're with. And that does enough to kind of, one, teach you the game. But two, it teaches you how to pay attention to what your opponent has and try and figure out what your side has as its strength and weakness and counters to what your opponent, which is fantastic in a two-player skirmish game. The first time that I had done the discussion, we just didn't really see that. Like, we weren't really like, yeah, there's a counter. It's like, okay, the pikemen, for example, if they get attacked by an adjacent unit, they remove a coin from the attacker. So it's like you make trades with them. Okay, well, I have archers. I'm going to use my archers who can shoot 2 spaces away to deal with the pikemen. So just things like that. But what it doesn't really do, which is kind of, I wish the game kind of did, was try and help you understand why you would bolster and why you would sacrifice more actions just to have 1 extra health on a unit. And hell, sometimes you might not even want to bolster. Like the scouts, for example, they can actually, normally you have to deploy on a region you control. You can actually deploy the scouts adjacent to any unit. So a good counter against crossbowmen who have to shoot in a straight line that's empty, if they're about to kill one of your units, you have a scout, you get to go first, you can actually pop the scout in front of them to obstruct the line of sight. So there's a lot of ways that units are actually used that aren't inherently understood whenever you're playing the game. And that's what really made War Chest sing for me upon replaying it. Because what happened was AEG went on their expansion extravaganza on Kickstarter. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give War Chest another shot. I'm going to get this and all of its other expansions. It's like, I don't even like, as of right now, I don't even like the game. And then I was like, I'm going to get everything, because why not? And then here I am talking about how I think this game is fantastic. Because you kind of have to go into this game, at least for me, with a very chess mentality. Because when you're playing chess, there are games of chess where some of your units are now useless. And what I didn't understand going into War Chest the first time was that is also the case here. There are times where your units are just useless. And or you're not drawing them at the right time to make them useful, so then you have to figure out alternate ways to make them useful. And so my initial gripes with the game were still kind of there in the replay of teaching my friend the player A and player B, what they recommend you start with. Because there's also kind of there's no alternate way to win necessarily. That particular game came down the exact same way the first time I ever played this game came down, where it was like, okay, all I'm doing is passing because all I have is, 1 chip left of a character or of a unit, so I can't do anything with it. I can't claim initiative again. I can't control. I can't move them. I can't deploy them, because if I do deploy them, they're not doing anything while they're there. So all I'm doing is passing, and it kind of came down to who can move. Who has units that can still move? Because if you can move, that means you can activate them, which means you can control. And I was really disappointed. I'm like, damn, that's same, like, two different, players I'm playing against. But the same, starting suggestion ended the exact same way. And I'm like, that kind of fucking sucks. But then, I was like, you know what, let's try it again. Let's actually do what they suggest, or not what they suggest, what the rules are, which is where you shuffle, you just give everyone 4 units. And that game was really kind of what solidified this game as great to me, because one, even though you have the exact same map and exact same starting position, your strategy and how you are going to utilize your units felt radically different. And every single, like, there's 16 in the base game, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yes, there are 16 in the base game, and only 8 are ever out. And there's no, like, there's no, like, rules on who gets what. It's just shuffle these 16 cards, give 4 out. So what happened was my side, funny enough, was literally knights and all the horses. I kid you not, it was purely random. But I got the knights, I got the light cavalry, I got the cavalry, and then I got the lancers. And then my friend got the royal guard, the crossbowmen, the ensign, and the swordsman. And the way that these units they have such basic abilities, but how they're utilized is what is really awesome. Because I went heavy on light cavalry. They were the first ones that I completely recruited because I wanted mobility. So I wanted them to be able to move around and either get in the way of the units or, be able to quickly get to control spots and then control them. And while they're moving around and, harassing the other units, I have my cavalry moving and kind of doing light attacks. Out of the entire game, I barely used my lancers because they have to move and attack in a straight line. And that's kind of difficult to do. At least for me, it was like, well, they can only attack by using their tactic. So they have to move 1 or 2 in a straight line and attack in a straight line. But what I ended up using them for was whenever there was an area that I controlled, if I got 2 lancers in my hand, then I would plop one down and then have him go and attack. So he was very just situational. And that was awesome. And then you start to see synergies of who would be really good with what. Oh, the knights would be awesome with the ensign because the ensign allows other units to perform a move. The footmen can have they can have two separate units, because normally you can only, if you have a scout, for example, out on the board, you can't have a scout somewhere else. That's your only scout unit. But the footmen they can have 2 footmen units deployed at the same time. And it's oh, well, that's really interesting. You can just keep an ensign with them, so you have even more mobility. It just really started to open up on how tactile this game was, similar to chess, and how certain sections of the board become highlighted. It's not just here's the map, it's okay, now we're vying for control over here. These are what you're dealing with, this is what I'm dealing with, nothing's happening over here. And I think a large part of that is because you do have random chips coming out. So if you also pay attention to what you have removed of your opponent, and it's okay, I have my light cavalry and my lancers in my hand. I could utilize both of them, but if I don't activate my light cavalry now, because in the last game I played, my light cavalry was my heavy focus, and they were bolstered as well, but it's I didn't want to even lose a chip because that was the sole focus of my game, that if they started to get dwindled down, I'd have nothing. So what ended up happening was every time he would move crossbowmen in a chance to even attack them, I would pull them back. Like, I rushed forward and started trying to take control over his starting locations, but every time he had crossbowmen moved into position, so I'd actually retreat and bring them back. But it's like, well, I killed some crossbowmen, and crossbowmen have 5? Yeah, they have 5 units. Well, 2 are dead, 1 he hasn't recruited, and there's 2 left, which one's being on the board. And we just drew our 3 cards, and I have initiative, so do I risk it? Did he draw his crossbowmen? Ugh. And so that's a lot of the game, is hoping that maybe they didn't draw the unit, so I can actually activate my Lancer instead, and hope that he doesn't have the crossbowmen to activate and kill my light cavalry. And then after I do my Lancer, on my next turn I could do my light cavalry. Just, that happens a lot. You start paying attention to what your opponent hasn't recruited, what you have killed, how many chips are in their bag, because you always draw 3. Like, there's never a chance. I mean, there's a very rare chance where you can't draw 3, but almost always you're drawing 3 chips. And it's like, how many does he have in his bag? Okay, he didn't activate his crossbowmen this round, and he probably has like 2 or 3 chips left in his bag, so he's gonna get them next time. And you do the exact same thing for yours. Like, if you're drawing and you have 8 chips to pull from, and you draw 3, and you're like, shit, I didn't get my knight that I needed to activate. Okay, how many knights do I have in the bag? Okay, there's 2, so chances are I should draw them. And sometimes you draw into multiple units of the same type, and it's like, dang it, well, I wanted to activate those units, but I can't. And that's the kind of randomness that I like in skirmish games. Is it's not, okay, I did all this moving, and now I hope I succeed in attacking. In this game, it's similar to kind of like War of the Ring, where it's like at the start of the round, you're given what you can do, and it's like, dang it, I really wanted to activate my knights, but I didn't draw them, so what did I get? And how can I utilize what I did draw in the best possible way? And that the same thing is happening to your opponent, but it always, even in a game where I was constantly taking control points, I never felt like I had the upper hand, even though my friend was like, dude, you have me backed up against the wall, and I was like, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it's like I just for some reason cannot seal the deal. Because one thing about this game that does kind of suck is the only way that it mentions winning is when you place all of your control markers, and you have 6 that you have to place. So this game is a tug of war of, I took that from you, you're taking it back, or I took that control spot from you, you're taking another one from me. So it can kind of drag, which did happen in the last game, where it was like, I feel like I'm constantly, like, I've killed a lot of your units, I have taken a lot of control markers, but I have like 1 or 2 control markers left. Like, oh, I have 1, I just need to do it. Oh, I didn't draw my unit that I needed to control. Okay, and you just took 1 back, so now I'm back to 2. And it does kind of drag a little bit. I wish there was an alternate way to win besides, oh, you can't do anything, I guess I win. Which I guess is kind of how chess works, where eventually it just comes to either you checkmate, which is kind of like the control markers here, or you just stall out, and it's like, yeah, your opponent can keep evading you, but they can't win. So that is kind of like how it is here, where it's like, okay, I can still move units, you cannot, so I will eventually be able to grab all the control markers, so we'll just call it here. Now, one thing about this game that I actually do not like is these royal coins. I find them to be very, very weak. And that actually bums me out, because that was one thing I mentioned in the original discussion that I do feel is still the same here, in that the royal coin can only be used to do face down actions, and your face down actions are claiming the initiative, which is huge, like making sure you get to go first when you're trying to do something is huge. Recruiting, which is taking units that are available, putting them in your discard pile so you get them next time, or passing. And surprisingly, passing, which is normally in a lot of games for me something that is like never going to be done, but there were a lot of times that I was passing to wait and see what they were going to do because I had units I could activate. And it's like, okay, let's see. I'm going to leave my light cavalry there. I'm going to use my royal coin to face down and pass, because it doesn't have to be the royal coin. It could be any token can be used as a face down action. But it's like, okay, he didn't activate his crossbowmen, which probably means he doesn't have them. So now I can do what I want with my light cavalry. So you actually do pass more often than you would think. But that is the only thing you can do. Those are the only 3 things you can do with your royal coin. And I really do not like that. Because to me, this is the only coin you have. Now, to be fair, there is the Royal Guard. So 1 unit you can discard the royal coin to move it. And I feel like that's why that they don't have any other uses for this, because I happen to have a unit that does use this in a special way. But I really wish the royal coin was a wild. Because to me, having knights, say there are 4 of them, and really if one's out on the board, and actually let's just say 2 are out on the board, and one's dead, then I just have this one to activate those. So if, for example, these 2 units get killed, I still have a knight. Like, thematically, I still have a knight unit. I have a troop of knights. But if I deploy them, I have no way to activate them. I think that that's super stupid. Like, that makes no sense to me. Even thematically or mechanically. It's like, there are times, which again, might be, let me know, like, what I'm missing on this aspect. But the knights, for example, can still be good where it's like, okay, I'm just going to put them on a control marker that I control, and now they're just going to be there for defense, because you can't take something if there's a unit on there. You have to be on top of it. And the knights, for example, can only be attacked by units that are bolstered. So they kind of just puppy guard. That's the only use for a single unit chip that I can think of, and it's very hyper-specific to, the knights, for example, it feels like. But I really wish that when you drew your royal coin, if you could use it as a wild to still make 1 unit available. I feel like you should be out of units when all the chips are gone. So if I have 1 chip that's a knight that's there, and I draw my royal coin, I should be able to discard that to activate, and only to activate, not to bolster or anything like that, but to move, to attack, or to control. I think would make the game go by a lot quicker, and force your opponent to actually wipe your units out. If they don't want to deal with knights anymore, they should have to get rid of all 4 chips, not 3 of them. Because if you don't deploy them, then they just become a face down chip. Or a chip that you use for face down, and kind of muddies up your bag with dead chips. And throughout the game you don't need to recruit anymore. You're either passing or maybe claiming initiative, but sometimes you might not have to claim the initiative. So that's still a negative for me. I really wish the royal coin allowed you to activate units that were out on the map as a wild. But that's really my only gripe with it. The tactile nature of this game, the way that you just shuffle the unit cards and just give each person 4, and reading what you can do and reading what your opponent could do and trying to figure out how to effectively deal with that, really showed up on replay of War Chest. And their chips, and these chips are really good. They have a really good weight to them. I love the design of now granted, it's the light cavalry and the cavalry are very, very similar, but they're color coded. So I guess if you're colorblind, at least the icon is different, but those are the only units that are the exact same, pretty much. But yeah, they also have a really cool where was it? Yeah, setups inspired by famous battles. I think that's really neat, just to have those, and you get a little history lesson on those battles and who has what units. And yeah, this is just became like an awesome like 2-player skirmish game where you look at a unit and you're like, oh, that's really good. Like, for example, the warrior priest. After the warrior priest attacks or controls, you draw 1 coin from your bag and immediately use it to take any action. That's amazing. That's super good. Pikemen are annoying because they basically have retaliate and they kill if, oh, you attacked me adjacent, well, I guess I'm also killing you. So we're just going to trade. So they just become annoying when placed out. Yeah, this one really, like, I really, like, flipped on my feelings for it. So very rare redo of a discussion. Again, let me know in the comments how I should look at the one chip. Maybe the way it's designed that way for a reason, which, I mean, it obviously is, but like maybe like a lot of chips just suck when they're down to 1, but then there's some that are still really good. I mean, to be fair, you have other, like the ensign, friendly unit within 2 spaces, they can move to a space within 2 spaces of the ensign. So, hey, I have 1 scout left on the board. I don't know why I keep using scouts. They're just there. Okay, but hey, yeah, I can't activate them myself, but I do still have a lot of things with the ensign, so I can at least have the scout move around. Which in this case, the scout would suck to move around. But let's say you're down to 1 pikeman. You can have the ensign move the pikeman around to get into a position to at least force them to attack. Or maybe not attack. You just kind of start deterring. So there are ways to kind of get around the 1 chip. I just wish there was a little bit more freedom when that does become the case. But other than that, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm now going to put War Chest up to an 8. I think it was originally a 5. I can actually look it up and tell you if it was originally a 5. War Chest. War Cheat. Yep, I put it right at a 5, and so it's getting a 3-point bump because something about it just clicked on because I understood what the game was, how close, or how it felt close to like chess. That it's like, yeah, still don't still have some gripes from previously, for the previous discussion, but now it's just working. So I'm very excited to see what the expansions bring. I do have all 3 of them now, and I'll be doing discussions over each one of them at some point. And hell, maybe I'll do a ranking on the units. That could be fun. But yeah. So that is my thoughts on War Chest. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.